Hi, this is Miss Frazita, and I'm going to go through my expectations for the Algebra 2 trig class this year. So first off, I listed at the top of the syllabus or green sheet my office hours. I don't have a third period or a seventh period this year, so if you happen to not have those classes as well, or one of them, you could come see me then for help. Other than that, brunches, lunches, tutorials, and after school are all possible times to catch me to get some extra help. I'm usually on campus until 3:30, possibly even 4. So if I know that you're coming, I'll make sure I don't leave before you're able to get a hold of me. So if you're not coming during a tutorial, if you want to swing by at lunch or some other time, make sure you just kind of let me know, send me an email, hey, are you free at this time, so that we don't miss each other. Okay, second on the list there, the flipping the classroom idea. So I'm not doing a full flip, as it's called, but there's going to be quite a few times this year that I anticipate that I'm going to be recording my notes on a video. And the way that works is basically I put my notes on a PowerPoint as if I was going to lecture in class. And then as I play the PowerPoint at home, I record my voice. And so what you see as you're watching the video is basically a bunch of slides, PowerPoint slides, and then you can hear my voice talking my way through them. So like I said, there'll be multiple times this year where you're going to be watching the videos and filling in some notes at home before you come to class. And then the next day when you come to class, we would be spending a lot of time in class working on those problems and trying to fill in, basically have some practice on the topics that you had just watched the video for the previous night. So some people refer to this as flipping the classroom. I'm not going to say that we will flip it all the time, but there will be a number of videos that you're watching where we spend the following class period working out the problems in class. Okay, calculators. You should have a scientific calculator for this class. If you're thinking about going out and buying a new one, I personally like the TI-36XS, S for solar, but really any kind of scientific calculator is fine. If you don't have one and you don't want to purchase one for whatever reason, let me know and I can check one out. Graphing calculators, we will be learning to use graphing calculators in this class. I have a class set of TI-84s, so you don't need to buy one. If you have one of your own already, great, but you don't need to. I have a class set. We'll only be using them in class. So give you a little experience learning how to graph on them. As far as keeping yourself organized, you should have a 3-ring binder for math. If you want to keep other subjects in there as well, that's fine. But I am doing some binder checks this year where I'm just going through and kind of double checking that my students are staying organized. So I'd like you to have in your binder a tab for all of your assignment sheets or stamp sheets, another tab for the actual assignments, your daily assignments that you're doing, and another tab for the notes that we're taking, whether it be in class or at home by video. So those 3 tabs with everything in nice order. You could put the newer assignments, newer notes on top if you'd like. That would work well. But if you're going to combine this class with another class all in the same notebook or same 3-ring binder, your other class should also be organized then. So when I do the binder check, I don't want to see, oh, well, this class is all neat and organized, but there's papers everywhere. Oh, but that's for another class. If it's gonna have multiple classes in it, all the classes should be organized. Okay, you can organize your other classes however you want, or however that teacher wants, but it shouldn't be like papers falling out. So when I do these binder checks, I do what I call the shake test. I want to see that there's nothing falling out. So everything's been hole punched and it's filed away nice and neatly. And we'll do those basically once every 6 weeks, somewhere around in there. Oops. Okay, the grade. Well, I have several categories that I grade you on. Of course, there's the test of the quizzes, making up the bulk of your grade in here, or 60%. And then I have what I call the effort points, which to me are your daily assignments that you do, the notes that you take in class or at home while you're watching the video, these binder checks. So that counts for 20% of your grade. So that leaves 15% for your final exam. You'll have a final in December at the end of the semester and another final in June at the end of second semester. Your participation, 5%, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes here. And then there is an extra credit category. The only time that I would look at your extra credit is if at the semester, after I've put everything in the computer and I've graded your final, I go back through and I look at everyone's grade. If you are within 1.5% of the next higher letter grade, I will consider what extra credit you've done this semester and try to base my decision on should I bump your grade up based on how much of the extra credit you have. But again, you have to be within 1.5% of that next letter grade to qualify for any of the extra credit. So in other words, if there's somebody that has an 85% in the class and they've done a whole pile of extra credit, it doesn't matter. An 85 is a B. You have to be at least 88.5. 88.5, and then you've done some extra credit. I will look at it and I will see if I feel like the extra credit is enough to allow for me to give you the A, even though you've earned a B. Okay? Effort points. So as I was saying, your effort points are the daily assignments and the notes in the binder check. So on your daily assignments, please make sure they're nice and neat and organized. What I would like in terms of format is on the top line, you're putting, writing down what the assignment is, which section in the book, which problems. When you're working out the problems, you're going vertically down the page. It shouldn't look like an English paper. You shouldn't be reading it across the lines. It should be going vertically down. The equal signs are lined up vertically, one underneath the other, whether you're solving an equation or simplifying an expression, either way. So keep things all formatted nicely. Copy the original question, work it out going vertically down. At the end, when you get your answer, you can box it if you want. You don't have to box it, I don't care. If you like to save paper and your writing is not too huge, you can usually fit 2 columns on one side of a sheet of paper. If you write unusually small, you can fit maybe 3 columns on one side of the sheet of paper, and that's fine with me as long as it's nice and neat and organized. Your notes. When you're watching the videos at home of the lectures, or if you are actually listening to a lecture in class, either way, chances are good that I will be passing out a sheet of paper to you that has most of the notes on there with just some blanks that you need to fill in as you're listening to the notes. So I call it the skeleton of the notes. It's basically a fill in the blank kind of, most of it's written in, maybe the example you fill in as I go through it in the lecture. Okay? So those are worth points as well. So you'll get some points for taking your notes. Participation. Okay, so on my wall, I have everyone's name listed up there. And when we're going over the previous day's assignments and there's somebody in class maybe that needs help on a certain problem, I'll say, great, okay, we'll put that one on the board. Is there anyone in class that wants to volunteer to do that problem on the board? So if you volunteer to do that problem and it all goes well, you could earn 3 participation points for that. So when I say all goes well, I mean number 1, of course, you need to have the correct solution, you know what you're doing. Number 2, you're going to be expected to orally explain to the class as a whole how you worked out that problem. Okay, and number 3, what's written on the board, not only does it need to be accurate, but it needs to have the appropriate format. Again, working vertically down, equal signs lined up, one underneath the other, everything, easy to read. Okay, so this idea of volunteering to come to the board to present your solutions, you're needing to do that basically roughly 5 times in the semester, 5 times 3 points each. That will give you 15 points. Now, I do remain a little flexible at the semester. If it turns out we were busier and we didn't have enough enough opportunities for people to come to the board, then I might back off on the 15 points and say, well, maybe 4 times to the board or 12 points is my expectation. But for now, we'll leave it at 15 and kind of play it by ear, see how it goes. So the other thing that goes into your participation grade are the negatives. So there's also another chart on my wall to keep track of the negatives. That would be if you arrive to class late, or you have to run to the bathroom or run to the office, or you're playing with your cell phone in class, or you're doing your English homework in the middle of math class when you should be working on your math. Any of those things, if I see you doing something like that, I'll just let you know, oh, I have to mark the chart for the fact that you were off task or whatever. So those points are 3 points per occurrence. So I allow you to have 3 times without it really costing you anything. but anything beyond 3 times in the semester, I start deducting 3 points per occurrence off your participation grade. So if you end up with an extra, let's say you were tardy 4 times and that's the only marks you have, well, 3 of them are kind of free, you're allowed to have 3, but that 4th one would count against you. So maybe it would be good to try to volunteer a little bit more and get a little bit more than 15 points for doing problems on the board, so that, you know, if you have an extra tardy or something, you know, it comes out okay. All right, so if, let's say you're never tardy, you never have anything marked on the negative chart, and you don't use those 3 times that you're allowed to have, then those become extra credit for you. So 3 points per occurrence that you were allowed to have but didn't use. So that's actually 9 points of extra credit that you could get just from never being tardy or off task or whatever. So now when you're thinking, oh, I need 15 points, I could get 9 just from never being tardy. You know, that's actually meaning that you don't need that many problems on the board. You could actually have fewer. But if you're an overachiever and you're thinking, oh, okay, well, I'm going to do my 5 on the board anyway, 5 times up, and I don't have any tardies, you end up with more than 15 points, let's say. Well, the extra points beyond 15 goes into the extra credit category. Okay, so again, we were talking about that a little bit ago, that if you end up with some extra credit points, if you are close to the next letter grade, then that might be enough to sway me into giving you the next higher letter grade. But you have to be within 1.5% of that next letter grade in December when I'm doing grades. Okay, making up tests and quizzes. If you're absent on a day of a test or quiz, obviously you need to make that up. So most of the time I'll just give it to you the next class period that I see you. So if you're absent on one day, just expect that when you come to school the next day during class, you'll be taking the test or quiz or whatever it is, okay? This is assuming that the office has cleared it and that it's not a cut. Okay, standard policy, if you cut the class, meaning it was not excused, you know, you just weren't here and it didn't get excused, you're not allowed to really make stuff up. You can't get credit for those things. Also, if it's a cut, my policy is I take off 1% off your semester grade. So if you had an 89 in the class, suddenly now you have an 88 in the class, something like that. Most of the time, I mean, it's very unusual for a Lynbrook student in general to cut a class, but what does happen sometimes is, let's say you have a doctor's appointment, you miss the class, but you never remember to go to the office to clear it, and so the office doesn't hear from you for 2 weeks. It goes to be a cut at that point. So you do have to make sure that the office clears it within 2 weeks. So you can't come telling me that you had a doctor's appointment. I cannot clear your absence. It has to be the office. So at the semester, I look at everyone's attendance, any cuts that I see listed by the office, that's 1% off your grade per cut. Okay, extra credit. I mentioned this already. There was the idea of the participation. If you have extra points beyond 15, then that would count as extra credit points. The other way to pick up extra credit is by participating in the math club's CAMEL contest. And the CAMEL is a contest that's given at lunch. I believe it's usually 3 times first semester, 3 times second semester. There's always 6 questions on the contest, so each problem you get right translates to a point of extra credit. So those 6 problems on that contest could translate to 6 points of extra credit for that one contest. Again, there's usually 3 of them in a semester. You know, reasonable for most Algebra 2 Trig students. You know, it'd be very unusual to get all 6 right because they're challenging questions, but you could shoot for, you know, a couple of the 6 right. You'd be doing pretty good. And the more you practice them, the better you get. Okay, School Loop. I do use School Loop, which means you need to go to the Lynbrook website, Lynbrook homepage, and on the far right, you'll see where you can sign in to School Loop. So you sign in for School Loop, have your parents sign in for School Loop. Once you're in, pull up the calendar, take a look at what assignments I have posted. I post assignments 1 chapter worth at a time. So right now what's up there is basically all the beginning of the year worksheets plus the first chapter. Okay, that's what's up there on the calendar. I also list the days that you're going to have tests or quizzes. They're all on the calendar as well. Now, if there are videos that I'm asking you to watch, the links to the videos will be on that calendar as well. I guess you've probably figured that out if you're watching this video now. Grade book. I also use School Loop for my grade book, which means that at the end of each test, end of each chapter, when I finish grading the test, I'll input all the grades into School Loop, and then you can see what your grade is, your overall semester grade as it's accumulating. Academic honesty policy. Well, this is a big one at Lynbrook. We really want to make sure that our students know that, we are serious about cheating. We do not, we want to encourage students to do their own work. During tests and quizzes, keep your eyes on your own paper. Don't ask people from earlier class periods what was on the test. Don't even ask them if it was hard, if they thought they did well. Was there a question on such and so topic on the test? So all of that is considered, dishonest. So you don't talk about the tests with somebody else that has taken it, okay? Also, on daily assignments and even on the notes, you don't ever hand your work over to somebody else. You may have innocent intentions like, oh, I was just trying to help a friend, but that friend might then take it and copy your work, in which case now both of you are in trouble. So, if somebody is needing help and you're willing to help them, don't give them your paper, but take the time, take a couple minutes and help them. Explain the problem. You can show them your work as you're explaining it, but they should never be in possession of your work. Okay, you'll put yourself in an awkward position then. The last one, electronic devices. So during class, we will use the calculators and even the graphing calculators, but pretty much that's it. So in terms of your in-class time, I don't want to see you with your cell phones out or your, music. You shouldn't be using any of that. So you're sitting in table groups most of the year. I expect you to be working with one another. If you are tuned out because you're listening to your tunes, you got your headset on, that makes it pretty hard to be working with the other people at your table. Make sure your cell phone is put away. I don't even want to see it. If I do see it, I take it from you and turn it into the office. Okay? It does get recorded off your participation grade if I have to take your phone from you. Videos, obviously at home, it's another story. So I do expect that you're watching the videos when they're assigned. That of course goes without saying if it's an assignment. Okay, that's pretty much it for my policies and what I'm expecting this year. I look forward to working with all of you. It seems like we're going to have a good year, off to a good start today. And yeah, if you have questions on anything that I've talked about, feel free to come talk to me, brunch, lunch, tutorial, after school, during class when there's a free moment. Shoot me an email if you want to do it that way too. I'll respond to your emails. And I hope I didn't talk too much. I will see you soon. Take care.